Stewart-Haas Racing had a roller coaster season in 2022, and although they had 2 drivers in the playoffs with Briscoe and Harvick, the team fell off and is struggling to keep themselves in the Cup Series. Kevin Harvick is one exceptional driver that the team will probably lose after 2023, as he will be 48 years old at the beginning of the 2024 season, which is a bit too much for him to continue racing. But is there a possibility that Harvick joins another team and leaves SHR out on the dry? And why is Stewart-Haas Racing going to miss Harvick? And we mean miss him by a lot. The 2022 NASCAR Cup Series was truly an interesting one with 19 different winners. This has happened previously in the 1956, 1958, 1961, and 2001 seasons. Obviously, the competition is fierce and everybody wants a piece of the cake. One of those who actually got a piece of the cake was Kevin Harvick, the 2014 Cup champion from SHR. The veteran waited for almost 2 years in order to win again. And when he got back on the winning track, it seems like it felt so good he had to do it twice in a row. Harvick won at the Michigan International Speedway, the win that sealed his spot in the playoffs, and was able to hold off the charge of Christopher Bell in the next race at Richmond Raceway. Even with these 2 wins, he didn't have the pace and the energy to make a charge for the championship in the closing stages of the season, as Harvick was docked 100 points after the modification of a single-source supplied part, which saw him struggling a lot in the playoffs. His teammate Briscoe made a run for the round of 8, but was 10 laps away from making the championship 4, resulting in another mediocre season of Stewart-Haas Racing. What is very interesting is the fact that Harvick is the best driver on the team, and there is one record that he broke that just goes to show that he is still made of NASCAR material. As of now, Harvick is the only driver in NASCAR who won Richmond Raceway with every generation of race cars, Gen 4, Gen 5, Gen 6, Gen 7. This is a feature that nobody else has achieved, which is why Stewart-Haas Racing is going to be bitter to see Harvick leave the team beyond 2023. The fact that there aren't many drivers out there that can replace the 2014 world champion speaks for itself, but we'll get to this point later in our video. Let's see how important Harvick is right now for SHR and what happens next in his career. Kevin Harvick led the team in 2022 with 2 wins, 9 top 5 finishes, 17 top 10 finishes, and an average finish of 14.3. True, his average finish has been dropping off compared to the previous seasons, but yet again, he's the number 1 on the SHR team. This is truly a code red for SHR, and when a team is facing a situation where a driver that is about to retire is absolutely murdering the other drivers on the grid, rest assured that it's not a pleasant sight, and not a pleasant talk that the owners need to have with the rest of the drivers. Since joining SHR in 2014, the year he won the championship, Harvick has been the top driver of his team. Leadership is one thing, and it's always a great thing to have one on your own team. And if you want to have leadership, then you cannot rely on young and nervous drivers like Ty Gibbs, for example. Harvick is the perfect guy for this job, but the rest of the team not stepping up is a huge problem for Stewart-Haas Racing, especially with them knowing that this driver is about to retire in 2 years, and they do not have a solution or replacement for him. Given that Harvick outperformed drivers like Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch, and Clint Bowyer, the void that Harvick will leave in the team cannot be filled with any driver. Harvick has been racking up result after result, with him recording the best points finish in all but 2 seasons, and scoring the most wins in a season in all seasons except for the 2021 one. Stewart-Haas Racing can always bet that Briscoe will continue the success of Harvick, with him actually being a solid piece in the playoffs, and the championship for SHR. But the owners of the team have had a very fierce argument about Ryan Preece, and we are yet to see whether Tony Stewart made the right choice of bringing in the reserve driver as a replacement for Cole Custer, who has been demoted to the Xfinity Series. With Harvick at the exit doors of SHR, what does the future hold for him? Obviously, retirement is well on its way, and Harvick is aware that he cannot perform nearly as well as he did back in his championship days. But that doesn't mean that Harvick cannot remain in the sport, even if it means that he will not drive a NASCAR car. Fox Sports has emerged as a potential landing spot for Harvick in 2024, and it goes without saying that Harvick has been perceived as a driver that will fit very well in a broadcast booth. This has been demonstrated multiple times by him, as he's been part of the booth for Xfinity Series races in recent years. Instead of replacing Jeff Gordon, who stepped away from the Fox Sports booth after 6 seasons following the 2021 season with a full-time analyst alongside lead announcer Mike Joy and color commentator Click Boyer, Fox opted to fill the 3rd spot with a couple of individuals throughout their portion of the 2022 schedule. Adam Stern from Sports Business Journal wrote about this matter, adding that Fox Sports intends to do the same thing again in 2023 and 2024, with the latter one seeing Harvick suit up as a broadcaster for this service. It would make the NASCAR fans very happy to see such a legend continue to share his wisdom in NASCAR on this platform, because it is now more than evident that Harvick won't join another team and is ready for life after racing, or retirement. This, however, doesn't mean that Harvick won't push to win his second championship following in the footsteps of Joey Logano. Although SHR doesn't really have the facilities needed to challenge for the championship, if there is any dark horse that could win the championship in 2023, that is definitely Kevin Harvick. After all, it would be a fitting farewell to the sport with Harvick fully immersed in the streaming and broadcasting waters. But let's talk about the void he'll leave behind and who could be his potential replacement. Aside from him, another seat will be left open beginning in 2025, that of Almirola. After playing games with his retirement plans, it's now obvious that Almirola will retire after 2 more years in the sport, and SHR will face a situation to fill 3 seats. Apart from Briscoe, who is obviously going to be the #1 driver and choice for the team, we don't see anyone stepping up and taking the wheel from here. Ryan Preece is an experiment, as of now, one that Tony Stewart was willing to take, and if this one doesn't work, then 3 seats are going to be open in SHR in a few years. They've demoted Cole Custer to the Xfinity Series, meaning that he is likely the championship favorite in that series and will likely provide a learning experience to Herbst as well. But for the Cup Series, the situation is far from perfect for SHR, as the future is very uncertain for this team. What is very worrying is that both owners aren't in a really good spot when it comes to their relationship, with their latest conflict surrounding the replacement for Cole Custer. Gene Haas wanted to give Custer one more chance, while Stewart opted out for Ryan Preece. And while Haas praised the ability of Stewart to find talents, he still thinks that Preece isn't worth the seat that Custer left behind him. With that in mind, Preece will have a lot of burden on his shoulders in order to prove himself and to be one of the top choices on the team, which is going to be a very hard task to complete. SHR is facing a very turbulent period ahead of them, and with how things stand between the owners and the departure of Harvick, rest assured that changes will happen, and they could trigger the massive difference that we are currently seeing. What do you think is next for this team? Do you think that they made a mistake by replacing Custer with Preece? And lastly, what is your opinion on Harvick and his records? Let us know in the comments below.